Well, your smile says a lot about you, but what exactly does it in creating a beautiful smile? It turns out nature and math, Chris.
Here to explain is Dr. Stephen Gim. He's been selected as one of the top cosmetic dentists in Charlotte by his peers. Dr. Gim, good morning. It's so great to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you again. Thanks for having me back.
Of course, we love having you here. Love seeing you.
Thank you.
The first thing that most people think of when they think about a great smile, it's whiter teeth,
Sure.
you know, natural-looking teeth. Correct?
Correct.
But as a cosmetic dentist, you say it's more about math than that. We think of white, straight, pretty teeth. You say it's about math.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of math and proportions which go into really designing a beautiful smile. Surely, you know, when somebody looks at an individual, the first thing that comes to mind is whiter teeth, so a smile that has more volume, surely a really nice, broad, wide smile. But the cosmetic dentist is really trained to look at a lot of proportions. There's a lot of mathematics which go into it. But this, when we evaluate the smile, this happens just so fast. It's just nature to us that we use these things to actually take a look at how we design or redesign. So take a look at this. That magic number of 1.618 is actually a golden ratio. We see that in nature and everywhere we look, such as geometry, design, mathematics, and even in beauty. You probably will go home today when you're driving home, won't look at things the same. So that's a magic number that surely we don't use that mathematical formula strictly to design something, but it just happens that that ratio looks very pleasing to the natural eye.
So how does this relate to cosmetic dentistry and how you use it?
Yeah, that's a great question. When we're recreating that smile, we'll use those numbers as a guideline to redesign it. And when you take a look at some things in nature, well, let's take a look at something outside of dentistry so we can relate to that.
Okay.
Take a look at this. This is one of my favorite cars, Aston Martin DB9.
Nice car.
Very beautiful. I love it. And it just happens to be that that car is very appealing to the eye because if you look at, there's a lot of measurements in there that equate to that ratio, 1.618.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So now you're going to go home and Google that and try to find that out, right? So let's look at how this may relate to dentistry.
Right. Explain that.
Sure. You know, if we pull up another picture here, this is one of my patients here, and we use those formulas to recreate a smile. But in the next picture, let's go back to that picture of this patient of mine. There's a lot of proportions in her smile, which is very unique. Take a look at how we fit those new veneers into her face. The side of her nostrils come down to the side of those canine teeth. The middle of the nostril, that line comes straight down to the middle side tooth, and straight down the middle of her nostril or nose comes right down the center of those teeth. So if we can proportionally match her teeth into her face, we'd be pretty much on the money right there. Now, any deviation from that, it's artistic and subjective. You know, it's not a hard and set rule in dentistry that we go by these rules.
Right. You just go the extra mile. You do this because you think it's what looks best, correct?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think most cosmetic dentists, we just automatically do that by default. We're looking at these numbers and proportions to make sure that the teeth fit in the frame of the face, such as a picture. If you have a picture this large, you don't want the picture overgrowing the frame here. You want it to fit in the facial proportion of the face.
So it's so much more than just straightening the teeth. There's so much involved.
It is. There is so much involved. Also, the other critical thing is that if we don't have enough spacing or proportion, I'm looking to my specialist to create more space for me. I'll bring in Dr. Grant Coleman, for example, a great facial orthopedic orthodontist that creates more space so I can get the right proportions with my veneers and crowns.
Okay, this seems so complex. I mean, very, very complex. So what are you doing to go ahead to achieve this process and achieve these great smiles?
That's a great question. We do a lot of photography. We analyze using our digital measuring device on the computer to see if these are in the right proportion. And you know, we're doing a lot of calculations, and then this information is conveyed to our dental laboratory. It's conveyed to all our specialists, and then we'll go ahead, before we do anything, we'll allow the patient to actually preview their smile with these new measurements in either a wax up or a computerized model.
Dr. Gim has this really cool sort of giant iPad table, if you will, and it's really neat. You've got the best technology, and it allows patients to see what they
Surely
can look
helps.
like.
Yeah,
It
surely
really
helps.
makes a big difference. So all this being said, Dr. Gim, what's the most important thing for patients and viewers to take away from this? What should we know,
Well,
bottom line?
The bottom line is not the math, the proportions, and things like that. That's a very technical issue, which I think cosmetic dentists should be more versed with. The most important thing when seeking out some cosmetic work is really find a dentist that is really well versed in certainly cosmetic dentistry. Someone that has a lot of continuing education in dental photography, color matching, dental photography, and really finally, if you guys are a great match, and if they're providing something and you feel really good about that doctor providing that service for you.
Well, I think you're the guy. He's kind of a big deal. Dr. Stephen Gim, really, you do beautiful work. Beautiful
Well, thank
work.
you.
It's great to see you.
It's great seeing you again. Looking forward to it. Thank